Hello, everyone. As you may already know, we are on day 5 of our 5-day event, which is sadly coming to a close. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the Monster Malaysia Virtual Career Fair 2021, an exclusive virtual career fair for job seekers in Malaysia organized by Monster Jobs. My name is Elaine, and I will be hosting the next 2 speaker sessions. At this event, you will get access to job opportunities with top employers in the country and be able to attend online sessions by leading industry experts from around the world. If you have not registered for the fair, what are you waiting for? This is your last chance to get access to many job opportunities by our top employers. With the aim to provide the right career guidance to all working professionals, we have launched a series of sessions to help you achieve your career goals. And with that, I would like to invite Sho Dewan, CEO of WorkHab, a leading talent development firm that helps talented professionals elevate their careers to new heights. Sho helps young professionals find their voice, develop them into better leaders, and help them thrive in their dream careers. He is a corporate leadership and L&D trainer and a featured top career coach with over 200,000 followers on TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Sho has successfully helped thousands of job seekers find their unique strengths and land their target roles with companies like Amazon, Netflix, the Big Four, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and other big organizations. Today, Sho has agreed to grace his presence at our virtual career fair to share some insights on getting job ready. A very warm welcome to you, Sho. We are delighted to have you with us today.
Well, thanks so much for the warm introduction, Elaine. And hello, everybody. I can't see you because this is a webinar, right? I can't see you, but I hope you're well. I hope wherever you're calling in from and you're ready for some good career insights. Okay, team? So today we're going to be doing something special. I have a presentation that I want to share with you guys. And at the end of it, we'll do full Q&A and I'll answer all the questions you have. Okay, team? So with that, let's get started. The whole presentation for today is about getting job ready. And I know you've signed up for this Monster Career Fair and you have big career goals for yourself. Before you go get that job, I want to help you and make sure that you're ready to go for it. Okay, there's a couple of different things that we're going to be talking about today. But before we get started, I just want to make sure you're ready to go. You have a pen and paper, you have your beverage ready to go, and we're going to get started. Okay, team? So with that, the first thing I want to do, if Venetia can help me, I want to ask you a survey. All right, I have a couple of people in the Zoom room right now, and I want to get a survey of how you feel about LinkedIn. Because one of the main components about a successful job search is how your personal brand is on LinkedIn. So I just want to take a pulse and see how often do you use LinkedIn right now. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, hit never. If you rarely check it, you have a profile, but you check it from time to time, put rarely. If you have a LinkedIn profile and you log on a few times a week, hit sometimes. And if you check it, a couple times a day, at least every day, hit often. Venetia, if I can get your help doing that, I'd love to see the results of this.
So I am just launching this poll. Give me a moment.
Okay, sure. So everybody just sit tight. We're going to launch this poll right now. I just want to see where you guys stand with LinkedIn right now. And let's give Venetia just a couple of seconds to get this up and running.
Yeah, it's here.
All right, team. So how often do you use LinkedIn right now? Let me know. So I have a couple of people hitting often. There's a few doing sometimes rarely. Okay, let's keep them coming, team. Anybody else? How often do you use LinkedIn right now? Okay, all right. So it seems like a few of you have some good experience with LinkedIn, and a couple of you maybe need to update your profile and check it a little bit more often. Okay, this is wonderful, team. So the reason I want to talk about LinkedIn, okay, and I'm sharing the results with you all. The reason I want to talk about LinkedIn is because LinkedIn is a powerful tool when we come to our personal brand. And the more you have a personal brand that aligns you for the role that you want, the more likely it is for you to get the job that you want. Okay, so a little bit about me before we get into the topic today, but I want that in the back of your head. Think about what's the personal brand that you have right now, and is it setting you up for success in your job search? So a little bit about me, team. Elaine already explained very, very kind words about me, but if you don't know me already, I'm Shodawan. I'm a LinkedIn top voice for job search careers, and this is my bread and butter. What I do here is I help the best talent get the best jobs. And if you're giving me your 30 minutes today on a Friday afternoon, that means you're a top candidate. That means you take your career seriously, and I want to deliver on it. I want to help you the way that I've helped thousands of other clients land their ideal roles. I've been doing this since 2013. I've had a long career doing other things in HR and management consulting, which I'll talk about. But my biggest wins are when you get your wins. And as Elaine mentioned, these are just a handful of brands that my clients have gone on to land offers at. But what's even more important for me is that not only that do you get the top brand, but you actually get a job that you want. Because we all know those people who work at the best brands. They work at Goldman Sachs, they work at Deloitte, they work at Amazon, and they don't like their jobs, right? I don't want that to happen to you guys. I want you to get a great brand that you want, but also be in a role that you really, really like. That's my hope for you as your coach. And as Elaine mentioned, I'm very, very active on social media. So I would actually love it if you stay connected with me on Instagram and LinkedIn. Follow me on Instagram right here. It's just @workcap. And if you have a LinkedIn profile, connect with me on LinkedIn. And my name is Shodawan. Okay, team. If you have any questions after this event, Instagram is the way to go. Slide me a direct message, and I'm happy to answer your questions on Instagram. Okay, team. So it's @workcap on IG. So a little bit about my own history, team. A little bit about my story, and then I want to shift to the advice that I want to give to you. So I started off my career in management consulting. And in the back of my head, I already knew, you know what? I think I'm better for a role in HR. I think I'm better for a role in recruitment. But that little voice, it took me a long time to actually realize. So I was in management consulting for a couple of years. I worked with Simon Sinek in New York before moving over to Hong Kong in 2017, and then I started my career in recruitment. I was in recruitment. I then transitioned to L&D, and then I was a career coach, which I do for WorkCap right now. So all of these things that you see right here, these are the hats that I'm going to be wearing today. Okay, I'm going to be wearing my hat as a previous candidate because I've been in your shoes, team. I've been in your shoes looking for that job through Monster, through Indeed, through Glassdoor, through LinkedIn. I've been in those shoes. The second thing is I'm going to be wearing a hat of a former recruiter. So I will tell you step by step, what are recruiters looking for in star candidates that they're not going to tell you, right? So I want to dig deep into those myths and debunk them. And then finally, I'm going to be wearing my hat as a career coach. So how can I best prepare you for this job search that's going to come? Because if you know anything about the job search, you know it's going to be a lot of ups and downs, right? You know that there's going to be some unpredictable things that are going to happen. Because most of the times when I work with clients, they're like this little man right here. Okay, they have great dreams, they have these great big goals, but they have so many different options. They could go this route, maybe this is an accounting route, or maybe they find a role in HR, or maybe they go into a job that's a startup. There's so many different options here, right? The first question I want to ask you, and I don't see your comments, so I can't actually see your comments while you're answering this, but even for you to think about, the first question I want to ask you is, where do you want to go? What is your target role right now? What is your target role that you have your mind set out on? The reason I'm asking you this, team, is because the more specific you can get on what that target role is, the more likely it is for it to pop up in your life and for you to go and grab it, Because that's what I want for all of you. I want you to find the role that you actually want, not a role that you're settling for. I want you to go all in and go for the role that's your target role. So I want some food for thought for you guys. What is a target role for you? So if you have your pen and paper, I want you to write that down onto your notebook right now. My target role is blank, whatever the title you want, at this company. All right, so here's a couple of examples. If you want to be a data analyst at Facebook, if you want to be a tech consultant at EY, if you want to be an analytics manager at Didi, maybe you want to be a recruiter at Monster. Maybe you want to be a marketing manager at LinkedIn. Whatever your dream job is, your target role, whatever that is, I want you to write it down on your paper right now. Because when you put your thinking into words, that's when the magic happens. That's when it clicks in your brain into the universe. All right, this is what you want. It's going to go get it. I want you all to do that. And after you've thought about that, after you thought about that target role and target company, now you know where to go, okay? So we're right here. Your target role is right here. What stands in between us are 3 steps that I like to call how to get job ready. And I'll outline those 3 steps today, okay? Those 3 steps are this, team. And we're gonna go through them step by step so you have everything that you need. So you have everything that you need to get started, okay? Just a side note, Elaine, Venetia, and team, I don't see any of the Q&A. I just see a pop-up. Okay, team? So just FYI, if there's Q&A, please let me know and I can answer that. Okay?
Sure, no problem.
All right, team. So the 3 steps that you need to get job ready, these are what the 3 steps are. The first step, I need you to start thinking about what your personal brand is. I know a lot of people, when they're thinking about job search, they don't think about themselves. They think about what does the company want? What do the recruiters want? What kind of jobs are out there? But the first step in being successful and being a top candidate is knowing what you bring to the table, team. All right, so step 1, I need you to think about yourself and what's the personal brand that you have right now. The second thing I want you to think about, is then get into the recruiter's head and understand what are the things that they want from me. How do recruiters think and who do they want in a top candidate? All right, so this is where we all put our recruiter hat on that I have on while I'm giving this speech. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is how to revamp your LinkedIn profile. Because your LinkedIn profile is a big determinant in the roles that you get. And LinkedIn and Monster work really well together because Monster is an amazing jobs platform and LinkedIn is a great place to build your personal brand and connect with people that you find on Monster. It's a great partnership here, team. All right, so if you do these 3 things, it's gonna set you up for success. And that's what my job is as your career coach. So if you're ready to go, team, I can't see your comments, but type in ready to go into the comments. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever this is being streamed, type in ready to go into the chat. Okay, team? I don't know where you're typing it because I don't see it, but I'm gonna assume that you're typing it somewhere, and we're ready to go. I think I see some of you guys typing into the Q&A. Amazing. Okay, type in the comments so I can feel your energy. You're ready to go. Okay, team?
We have a few comments here.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so the first step, everybody. The first step you got to think about is what is your personal brand. All right. The reason this is so important is because I've had thousands of clients, my friends, and they've been from students to managers to executives. And I found that the secret to their success, to their job search success, even career success, I'd say, it's not where they went to school. It's not how they write their resume. It's not even what they'd write on their LinkedIn profile. It's not how they interview or how they show up. It's their personal brand that ties it all together. Because if you can walk the walk and talk the talk, you're a star candidate. Most people fall short in one of those 2 categories. But the best candidates are the ones that have it all together. And that's what I want all of you guys to really embody for yourself as a top candidate. So there are 2 parts to your personal brand, team. Okay, there's 2 parts here. And I want to introduce you to my former intern who graduated from my internship program and now has a great marketing career. But this is Beatrice. All right, she'll be our subject for today. And Beatrice, when she came to me, she had 2 parts to her brand, same way that you guys have 2 parts to your brand. One part is an offline brand, and the other one is an online brand. An online brand is your resume. Online brand is your LinkedIn profile. It's your Instagram. It's your Facebook. It's everything digital. And offline is how you show up in meetings, how you show up in interviews, how you interact with your friends, that's offline. And again, the way to be effective is for both of these things to be aligned. So if you brand yourself on LinkedIn as a marketing expert, but when you show up to your interview and you don't talk the talk, they're going to know there's a disconnect there. So that's why both of these things have to be aligned, and you need to know the personal brand that you are. Okay? So what do you think you want to be known for to recruiters? If I'm a recruiter, who do you think I'd like to hire? Do you think I'd like to hire somebody who's a job seeker? Type in yes or no into the chat, guys. Do you think if I'm a recruiter, I want to find a job seeker to fill my role? All right, think about that, team. Do I think I want to be a job seeker? The answer for that is no. We don't want to hire a job seeker. How about this, guys? How about, do I want to hire a hardworking student? Or not even a student, let's say hardworking person. Do I want to hire a hardworking person for my role? The answer for that is maybe, right? Maybe a hardworking student, but not a hell yes. But how about this? If I'm a recruiter, do I want to hire a subject matter expert? What I like to call an SME. Do I want to hire an SME? That answer is a yes, yes, yes. The person that we want to hire is a person who brands themselves as an expert in their field. So for everybody, when you think about your personal brand, I want you to start thinking about what are the things that I bring to the table that make me an expert for the job that I'm going for, because that's what's going to get recruiters to notice you. All right, team. So the activity that I have for you, you don't have to do this right now, but after this presentation, I want you to list out all the experiences that you have that make you an SME, that make you a subject matter expert. Because when you can do that, then you'll understand all of these things that I just wrote down. This is what recruiters want to see, and this is what I'm going to deliver to them. Okay? And I know a lot of you guys are going to ask me, but show, I don't have any experience. I don't know how to do XYZ. I don't know how to do this. So for everybody who's asking that, I want to give you a breather and let you know that you do have that experience. You're just not thinking about it well enough, because experience means all of this, team. Because I think when I talk to a lot of candidates, they think experience is only experience if you got paid for it and if you had a title in it and worked in it. Experience is so versatile, guys. All right. So anything like that I list right here, it can be experience. So that's step number one, team, knowing your personal brand. Okay. Now, step two, we're talking about how recruiters think. Because a lot of times people think, okay, well, the recruiter will find me on LinkedIn or find my resume, and then he'll give it to the hiring manager and I'll get hired. But the reality is, team, recruiters are only going to be finding candidates that are SMEs, because recruiters have so much on their plate. So recruiters aren't going to do anyone a favor. You have to help the recruiter do their job. All right. And how do you do that? It's by answering these three most important questions. So if you're taking notes right now, I need you to take out your favorite pen and bold these three questions. Because if you can get these three questions down, I guarantee you'll get hired. Okay. The first question it is that recruiters are thinking is, do I even like you? Do I even want to have somebody like you in my company? That's number one. Do I like you? You got to be likable, my friends. If you want to get hired, you got to be likable. That's number one. Number two is them thinking, but can you do the job though? Yes, I'll hire you, but I'm only going to hire you if you can do the job. So that's the second most important question here, team. Can you do the job? And the third question is a game changer. Are you different from all the other candidates? All right. Because I know if you're here on Monster Career Fair, I'm sure there's hundreds of others going for the same job. There may be thousands of others going for the job. It's a competitive industry, right? So what can you do to make yourself different? That's what I want you to start thinking about. And we're going to focus on can you do the job on your personal brand? That's part number 3. Okay. So when you go on LinkedIn the main things that recruiters search for on LinkedIn are going to be these four things, I should say. The job title, your headline, the location where you're based, your hard and soft skills, and the industry that you have experience in. If you can get these four down, guys, you're going to be a star candidate. Okay? So with that, my last point for today, I want to help you revamp your LinkedIn profile, because your LinkedIn profile is a crucial step to your personal brand, right? So this is what you know so far. You know your target role. You know where you want to go. Second thing, you know how to start your personal brand, right? You know what recruiters are looking for. And now you know what recruiters search on LinkedIn. If you have these three things, now you know now you have a head start on your LinkedIn profile. Okay? The most important thing you got to figure out on LinkedIn are these two things. What's your headline and what's your summary and about section? If you can write these two things that are coherent, that are value driven, and that focus on getting you the role, you're going to be golden. And I'll help you with this right here today, guys, the headline. Okay? So I want to ask you, if everybody, has anyone ever seen this headline on LinkedIn? Actively looking for full-time opportunities. Has anyone ever seen that? Type in yes wherever you're typing in from. Type in yes, no, maybe into wherever you're typing in from. Right? A lot of people write this. But the thing is, my friends, writing actively looking for full-time opportunities, it does not add your value. If you're a recruiter and you had these two candidates in front of you for a marketing job, who do you think you'd hire? It's a no-brainer, right? We'd always go Beatrice because she highlights everything that she's great at. So same way that she does that, I want you to do that same thing for you, okay? So how do you do that? This is my formula that I teach all my clients to showcase your value on your headline. This is the headline, guys. We want to use SEO-friendly words and highlight keywords that you want in the future role. So the formula that I teach is here. The current role at current company, what are some industry and unique skills you have, and a fun fact about you. So for example, if you have a master's degree, if you have a certification, if you passed a CFA level exam, if you have a CPA, that's what you put at the end. All right? If you have these three things, your current role, your focus, your industry, your unique skills, and your fun fact at the end, or something that adds value, you're going to stand out. Okay? So with that, team, thank you for joining in today. I know it's a quick presentation, but I only have you for half an hour, so I want to make sure that you guys got everything that I can share with you. Thank you for joining in today. And I want to ask you, if this workshop was helpful, I would love for you to give us a shout out on LinkedIn or Instagram. Okay? Tag me and tag Monster Malaysia. And for everybody who does that, I will select a few of you, and I will personally do a free LinkedIn review of your profile. So I will make sure everything that you're adding on there is industry specific and that you're selling yourself in the best way. Okay, team? So with that, thank you so much. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Monster, for having me. Let's answer some questions. I know we have like 5 minutes left.
Okay, so let's just zoom through. But guys, you heard what Sho said. Make sure you tag us, and you'll be able to interact directly with Sho. Now, one of the questions is, hi, can I know what are the examples of personal brand, and how can I use my brand to secure a job?
Okay, so this is a great question here, buddy. It's a really good question here. So when it comes to your personal brand, you first have to think about what is the role that you want, right? So for example, let's say you want to be a marketing manager. Let's say you want to be a marketing manager and that's the role that you've always wanted. What you want your personal brand to do is you want to align it to be a marketing manager. So you need to think of experiences that you've had that best sell your experiences in marketing. So maybe you've created events before. Maybe you're usually in charge of the marketing collateral and creating flyers on Canva. Whatever these experiences are, these are what you want to add onto your personal brand. This is how you stand out. So when recruiters see you, they're like, oh yeah, this person has the exact qualities that we're looking for a personal brand. Okay, let me just keep this up.
Can we take another question?
Yeah. I'm happy to take that question.
Is personal brand on LinkedIn directly linked to subject matter expertise, or is it also about sharing the journey to expertise?
Amazing question. Really, really good question. So there's two parts here, guys. Okay. When I'm talking about LinkedIn and building your personal brand, I'm talking about writing in your headline and your about section. So when you're writing on your profile, so this is considered your profile, right? When you're writing in your profile, you want to highlight the things that you already have done that make you a good candidate for the role, right? This is where building up your personal brand and highlighting the skills and expertise you already have. This is on your profile. With that said, if you're not there yet, and let's say you're working on the journey to get there, what I recommend is for you to post content on LinkedIn or content on Instagram to build your personal brand and showcase that journey. All right. So to sum up again, what you've done already and your highlights and your experiences, that goes in your profile. The journey and the things that you're doing to build even more credibility, that goes in your content. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, social media. Okay. Or blogs, website, that's that kind of stuff.
Great. So I think we only have time for 2 more questions. The next question is, how often should I post on LinkedIn, and what kind of content should this be to create a personal brand?
I love that question. And this goes directly to the screen you see right here, guys, right? I would love for you to start creating content on LinkedIn. The best way to do, just to start off, is just to do this. You say, I learned something really cool today, and then tell me what you learned. Okay, so the first headline that you write is, I learned something really cool today from WorkApp and Monster. This is the best thing that I learned today, and this is the biggest insights I have. 1, 2, 3. Write your bullet points, and at the end you finish off. You say, I'm looking to start to create more content. Let me know what kind of content you want to see more of. So you ask your audience what they want to see. But I'll guarantee you guys this: if you tag me, you tag Elaine, you tag WorkApp, you tag Monster, there's like, I don't know, 40, 50,000 people that in our community already, that once we see it, once we like it, once we engage in it, that post is going to blow up. Right? So do yourself a favor and tag us so that we can engage with it and give you some boost there. All right. So another question, how honest should I be if a recruiter asks me about my weakness? Oh, okay. That's an interesting question. You want to be honest here, right? Like at the end of the day, we want to be honest about how we showcase our experiences, how we talk about our stories. The thing you gotta focus in on though, like you can't choose a weakness that is directly related to the role. For example, let's say you're going for an accounting supervisor role. I'm just giving an example. And if they ask you, hey, what's your greatest weakness? And you say, you know what, I'm actually not that great at balancing numbers. Or I'm not really that great at checking my details and letting things slide. That weakness that you just said is directly related to the role, right? So that's probably not the weakness that you want to share. Share something else that you're actually working on so you can give a good story. All right. So with that last question, it's such a short session, but thank you so much everyone for posting your questions. There are a few more questions you were not able to answer, but don't worry, you can always direct message Show at any time on LinkedIn. Yes. On Instagram at any time, right? And Show, I just wanted to say that there are a lot of positive comments here and saying that they really enjoyed your session. Amazing. And definitely appreciate you being with us today. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with the different hats that you've worn, over the years. Thank you so much for joining us. Amazing. Well, I'm glad I could help everybody. Thanks so much. Enjoy your Friday, okay? Take care. Take care, everybody. Take care. Bye. Bye-bye. Okay, so before I move on to the next session, I would like to remind all of you that it is the last day of the Monster Malaysia Virtual Career Fair 2021.
And if you have not yet registered, now is your chance. Our next speaker is Victoria Quack, the Head of Organization Design and Talent Management at mBank Group, a leading financial services group with over 40 years of expertise. Victoria is passionate in driving the HR strategies to support mBank's business growth and aspirations. She's highly equipped with a good understanding of the financial institution landscape, coupled with best HR practices through her past working experiences in homegrown and multinational financial institutions in both a local and global setting. Today, Victoria is going to talk to us about how young professionals can fly high with the mBank graduate program. And of course, after you watch this session, do visit the mBank booth at our virtual career fair and apply for the job opportunities of your choice. Welcome, Victoria, to our live session. I'm very sure to know about the graduate program. Please.
Hi, Elaine. Thanks for having me today. I came in early and saw a little bit of what Show has actually shared. It was very, very motivational for me as well. And I hope that your target organization or goals is with mBank Group, yeah? So I think this is why I want to be here today to share with each and every one of you a little bit about the graduate programs, and hopefully by the end of it, you find it useful and will want to apply the program with us, okay? So like Elaine said as well, we are doing sort of the soft launch of accepting the application on Monster platform today, exclusively for today, because we're actually opening up on 1st of November in major other social platform. But today, exclusively for Monster, we are doing it and we are accepting the application. Yeah, so before I go into sort of the program structure, I want to say to each and every one of you that I want to make this a sort of interactive session as much as possible. So if you have any questions, feel free to pump it into the chat box, or if you have any pressing question that you really need to ask me, feel free to raise your hand. I'll be happy to take the questions. Okay. So I've prepared a very, very simple slide for today. Let me just share my screen. Don't mind. Okay. All right. Just before I start, Elaine, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can.
That's good. Okay, so before I actually go into the program structure itself, I would like to give you a little bit of insight in terms of how we design the programs, just to give you a little bit of idea in terms of how we infuse some of the elements into the program to make it as impactful as possible. So we call this a 3E elements that we have infused into the program. Number one, we want to make it as experiential as possible, from the moment that you come to drop your CV with us all the way to onboarding to the program, as well as post-graduation from the program. And number two, we want this program to be an exclusive one, because we want these young leaders to be the talent of tomorrow, as well as the leaders for mBank Group in the next few years to come. And lastly, we are hoping that with this program, it will actually give you an exponential learning as well as career progression upon joining as well as graduating from the program. So this is the 3E that sort of become our guiding principle throughout the programs that we have infused for all our graduate. Okay, so the 18 months, so this graduate program is actually an 18 months program. So it's very experiential, like I said, and I will actually walk you through from the moment, from the attraction as well as selection process, all the way when you're onboarded with us, and the journey that you will be going through, as well as what will you be experiencing throughout this journey. Okay, so I guess the first part is really the attraction as well as the selection bit. This is where you will actually go through 3 main stages with us, right? Number one, of course, if your profile suits what we are looking for in terms of criteria, which is CGPA of 3.5 and above. And you can come from any, background. We are not looking specifically for people that is from finance or econs. So just a sharing, a personal sharing as well. I'm a management trainee myself, and I'm actually in engineering back at chemical engineering graduates, and I'm actually now a HR practitioner. So really, there's no limitation in terms of your background or what you have studied in the university. What we are looking for are people that is very dynamic, eager to learn, has the passion to drive change for the organization. So those are the traits that we're looking for, right? So the first stage really is the phone interview with our friendly recruiters. So if you have passed the phone interviews, you will be invited to actually join our assessment center, where we have actually put in a vigorous process to assess our candidates in terms of their business acumen. It will be a very intensive process where you will be tested on business cases, but really what we want to observe from the candidate is how you respond to different situations, as well as how you break down complex information and come out with a simple and structured recommendation or solutioning, because that is what we are actually facing on a day-to-day basis in business as well, right? So once you have successfully go through our vigorous assessment center, you will be invited to join our last stage of our process, which is a one-to-one interview with our senior guys. This is where you will get to meet some of our senior leaders within the organization, where you are able to interact with them, and they will also ask you about your career aspiration and how you fit into our organization, right? So that's in a nutshell what you will go through if you were to be invited for the assessment as well as interviews. Okay, so I will not want to scare you that it's going to be a tough process, but hopefully, whether you make it through the process, if you've decided to actually drop your CVs with us, I hope that the assessment center or the entire process will be fun for you, and for you to actually talk about with your peers as well, even though you might or might not get into the program eventually. Okay. So that once we have gone through the selection process, the first 3 months of you coming into the organization will be the onboarding process. This is where we will spend a little bit of time taking you under the HR wings to actually help you to understand the organization a little bit better, and to give you a little bit of training in terms of leadership, business acumen, and etc., to help you slowly ease into the program, the actual world itself, right? So this is where you are able to meet your peers as well. So each of the cohort, we are actually targeting to have 10 to 15 people. This is where you can really, bounce idea and build a strong support system among peers when you are in the program together. Okay, so that's what the 3 months of onboardings is all about. And once we think that you are ready, we will actually then put you into the first job posting. So all in all, throughout the 18 months journey, you will actually be put through 3 job posting with different divisions doing different jobs, right? So what we are encouraging the M graduate is to have a diverse sort of choice when you are choosing your job posting, because this is the opportunity for you to experience different divisions, different line of the business, see what they're doing, understand how the ecosystem works within the organization, right? So you may choose for and opt for, let's say, a frontline type of job with a retail banking, for example, but we encourage in your next job posting that you go into something that's different, maybe a back office or a governance function such as risk, assurance, or audit, right? So these will actually help you appreciate a little bit better in terms of how the firm works, because I think a lot of people are just seeing the firm providing service and driving a lot of revenue through the frontline jobs, but there's also a bunch of people that is performing a lot of control as well as operational work to keep the transactions going. So it will be good that with different posting, it gives you a little bit flavors of different divisions around the organization. Okay, so basically the job posting, you will get to experience 3 job posting, and each of them will last about 5 months. And in between these job posting, we will have checked-in sessions with you. We will have performance review sessions with you, and even promotion if we think that you make the cut, right? So again, like I say, our guiding principle is exponential. We really want to fast track people's careers, and we mean it, right? We really want to provide in an accelerated career growth for the M graduate that is with us in the program. Yeah. So upon graduating or going around the organization on the job posting, before you go for your final placements, which is your graduation from the program, we will actually have team building sessions to ensure that you continue to build that peer collaborativeness among your cohorts, right? This is to ensure that post-graduation, you still have these peers to become your buddy, to become your internal support system as you grow with the firm, and you will need it, right? Because through my experience as a management trainee, I find it really valuable, and these are the friends that I still keep in touch, even though I've left the firm where I joined as management trainee, and I have made lifelong friends which last until now, which I really, really appreciate. And we exchange ideas, we exchange a lot of things, right? So we thought that it's a good sort of opportunity to bring people together before they all go for their final placement in different parts of the organization. Yeah. So of course, throughout the program, the 18 months program, we also infuse a lot of sort of interventions. So we are very, very passionate in nurturing our talents. We want to ensure that they really we really help them to unleash their potential throughout the programs, because like I said, people that comes into our program usually are the creme de la creme and the leaders that we really want to grow in the M-Bank group moving forward. So we have infused a lot of development, engagement, as well as coaching and mentoring plan, right? So each of you who join the program will be assigned a mentor to coach you throughout the program as well as post-program as well. So then you continuously felt that you are engaged and can continue to grow with the organization, right? So that's in a nutshell about the M Graduate programs and what is it all about. Yeah, so I'm open for any questions, if any. I expect I'm not sure whether people are still on, because I'm not hearing any any voices, which is very, very unusual, because usually in virtual meetings we have interactions and noises. People accidentally turn on their speaker and so forth. Yeah, so any questions?
Yes, there are a few questions. So let's just go through some of the questions. Now, the first one is, may I know what would be the trait that you're looking for in candidates, especially fresh grads for this program?
Sure, that's a good question. So like I said, right, the traits that we're looking for are people that is passionate and dynamic. You need to be dare to speak up, and you need to have the appetite for change, right? Because we don't want someone that is comfortable, right? And we need people to be able to challenge the norm. right? Because these will be the leaders for our group moving forward. So we need those people, and the DNA has to be very, very strong. So that's why we put in a vigorous series of assessment to ensure that we mine out those traits, so that it's very, very much aligned to the group's DNA as well, right? That we're looking for.
Okay, we have a question here from Jade. As an employer, what would be something different at mBank compared to the other banks?
Sorry, let me just pause share because that's quite distracting. Sorry. Sorry, Ile, how do I pause the share and just exit from there? Somehow I have got some difficulties of doing so.
Let me see. Would you like to just stop sharing your screen right now? The green button.
Oh, okay. Sure. Sorry. We're very much used to Teams. So your question is, what is our differentiating factors, is it?
That's right. What is the X factor at mBank?
mBank or the mBank graduate program?
I think the question was compared to other banks. So I believe it's the bank in general.
Yeah, so true, right? Because I guess it's because one of it is our culture. You'll be able, in mBank, I would say we practice a open door culture. So really, you can walk to anybody in any seniority and talk to them, right? And the platforms or the program itself also allows you to be able to talk to senior leaders within the organization, which I think it is very rare. I mean, I've seen other organizations also provide those opportunities, but probably not as vigorous as us. And of course, as a past management trainee myself, I will be personally administrating the program, right? So what more, I would say, no other person, because I would know what are the experience that management trainee would like to go through. So I would make sure those elements are constantly infused into the program to make it as valuable and as impactful as possible for people that join the program.
Right. I hope that your question was answered. Now the next question, is the program contracted? What happens if I'm accepted but midway I decide to leave?
Yes, this is a contracted program, so you will be bonded throughout the 18 months when you're with us. And of course, if you leave midway, which I hope you don't, we will have to claw back of the investment that we have invested on you. But this is not something that is very, very different from other programs in the market as well. Yeah. So like I said, if you were to join us, I would think that you are the talent that we really want to nurture. And I hope that you continue to stay with us because we really am serious and we invest a lot of time in making sure that the program is, impactful as possible for the people that join the program.
Okay. The next question. Are there any external trainings or certifications that I can get from the program?
Yes. So throughout the programs, we also push our participants to take part on the AICB certification. So the core banking certification, you can go for any of it and we will pay for it. And because we are serious about you being groomed in terms of your leadership as well as your technical knowledge when you are in the program. Yeah, and this is the best time actually for you to take up certification because you're still experiencing, and even when you go into the job rotation, I would imagine it will not be as hectic as you are when you are permanently placed there. So it will be a good chance for you to take up certification and allow you to, and learn as well as work at the same time during your program tenure.
Now, the next question is, okay, this is an interesting one. I think it's not about the graduate program, but the bank in general. I've heard banks give out really good bonuses to their staff. Is this still the case during the current times?
Well, bonus is not given, right? I mean, it's performance driven, right? And it's very, very unique by individuals. And this is the same through our organization. So yes, we have attractive bonus and performance structure, but again, it's based on your individual performance.
Okay. What is the career path after the candidates graduate from this program?
Yeah, so that's a very, very good question, right? Because the continuation is important, right? That you continue to be our talent. So we have different programs as well lined up post the M graduate program as well, to continue to groom you from junior manager to mid-manager and senior positions, right? So you will still be under our care, and we will have a very rampant checked-in with the talent, the young talent, so that we ensure that you don't fall off the radar, that you continue to groom and grow with the organization, because obviously we have invested a lot on you on the onset. So we are hoping that you will continue this journey and really drive change and make impact for the organization.
Okay. Now, as a fresh grad, sometimes we feel a bit demotivated halfway throughout the program. Is there any ways to help or guide them back?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I mean, I've heard this. This is not. I mean, I personally experienced this as well, right? Sometimes you don't get the job placement that you want, even though you get to choose, but for some reason you don't get it. You feel demotivated. Yeah, so that's why HR plays a very important role. And I think from the slide that I've shared earlier on, we will also assign a mentor to coach you as well as to mentor you throughout your journey with us, right? It serves this exact purpose that when you need guidance, right? When you need a little bit of a motivation boost, these are the people that you can always talk to, and we will find solution for you, right? We are always there to help.
Now, another question is, any tips to excel in this program? What can I do, to be one of the top participants of this program?
You just be yourself and let us do the rest, right? Give in your best and we will do the rest, right? That's what I always tell the trainee as well. Give your best, right? Just because you are in the program doesn't mean that you can slack. You need to constantly stay on your game and constantly excel, right? And we will, in HR, we will constantly make sure that you do and you excel in your role as well. We will always try to push you. So that's why the check-ins and the informal engagement, the mentorings comes really, helpful for that purpose.
All right. So is there any age limit for this program, please?
No. We don't have age limitation. And so as long as you meet our CGPA 3.5 criteria, less than 1 working experience, you are free to join us.
All right. Now, the graduate program sounds very interesting. Any benefits for international candidates?
It is a very interesting program, even though, it's a program that I administer myself. I'm very proud of it. But unfortunately, there is no specific benefits that is being extended to international graduates at the moment, right? But it's something that we could possibly look into in the future.
There's another question here. Would love to know about your career journey at the company. Can you share?
Sure. So actually, this is my first month with the organization. So I'm fairly new as well with mBank, but I must say that it's been a very interesting 1 month for me, right? Everything happens so quickly because I take care of the organization design as well as the talent management piece, and there's so many moving parts together. But I find it so interesting because I'm a very driven person myself, and I like the adrenaline rush when I see lots of things, right? I get overwhelmed, but at the same time, I liked it, right? So it gives it keeps me going and keeps me on my toe to ensure that I stay focused and deliver what I need to do for the organization. So maybe I can share a little bit about my experience and how I was being trained on my younger days, right? So like I say, I started my career as a management trainee. So I stay on in that role for 3 years. So of course, I graduated the management trainee programs, and then I go into talent management specialist role. That is where it sort of opened up and give me, you know, my target goal that I would like to venture into. So back then, you know, 2 years into the talent management specialist role, I thought that, you know, why not try something that is more challenging, right? Consulting, right? I was young, I was pumped, I was ready to see the world. So I thought that, you know, consulting really is a good training ground for me. And that's where I went and go. So yeah, I was working with one of the big four. Really good experience as well. It really opened up my eye to another level. I was exposed to different clients, working with people from different backgrounds, working with local as well as international clients. So it just really opened up another door for me. So then once, you know, a few more years later on, I decided to come back to industry. And that is where, you know, I started to really become an SME of an organization, and specifically in talent management as well as organization design. So yeah, so that's sort of sums up my sort of career journey thus far.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Now, talking about your career journey and how you've just joined MBank, perhaps you could just shed a little bit of light on the work culture in MBank, because there are a few questions on that as well.
Yeah, so like I said, has been very positive for me so far. Like I said, that I could talk to everybody, right? I can just walk to my boss, my manager, and say that, hey, we need to discuss about this. Everything is open door, and things moves really quickly here. And what I liked about it is the cross collaborativeness within different departments. You know, this graduate program, for example, we needed to get the marketing rolling. So I've got my, you know, comms team to come and help out. I just give some ideas and they come up with a wonderful EDM for me almost overnight. So those are the things that I really appreciate, and we really work really well so far. Yeah, with my short tenure with MBank thus far.
Okay. So there is a question here. Hi, does this program is this program only applicable to finance graduates, or other courses can also apply? For example, a science graduate. This question is from Darlene Naomi Marius.
Yes, right. We welcome, you know, graduates from all sorts of backgrounds, right? Like I said at the beginning of my presentation, I'm actually a chemical engineering graduates from Monash University. I have no idea what HR is all about. I went into a management training program offered by one of the local FI, and yeah, since then it's been exciting. So really, we're not looking for any specific, you know, background. So whether you are economist, you are a scientist, you are a biologist, feel free, right? Because at the end of the day, we just need someone that is structured, and you are able to apply what you've learned from university into the real world. Problem solving, solutioning is important. And those are the things that will really help you to excel and propel in the organization, even you post-graduation from the program.
Okay, so there's a question here that says, is there no diploma or degree minimum academic requirement for the program?
So yes, there's actually a degree minimum academic requirement, which is CGPA of 3.5 and above.
Okay, and that is another question here. what if my CGPA is not the minimum 3.5? Would I still be considered if I have other attributes?
Sure. I mean, that's something, I mean, the CGPA, this is what we've been working with my team as well, because I felt that sometimes we need to look beyond the grades, because I know sometimes, you know, for some reasons, you might not be, you know, a 3.5 scholar, for example, right? I myself, to be fair, I am a second lower graduates. I didn't score 3.5, right? And I still made it to the management training program. So anything is possible. So if you can prove to me that you have the traits that we're looking for, definitely we can take you in.
Okay, so guys, please don't be disheartened if you don't hit that minimum requirement. Just go apply, go to the MBank booth. There's a posting there for the program. Apply, you'll never know. You may be shortlisted, you'll go through the interviews, get
Yes.
internship that you want, right? Now, there's another question. As a fresher, what kind of learnings can I have in MBank? Will I be given an opportunity to lead projects?
Definitely, and this is what I'm glad you asked that, because you will be you will be tasked to actually lead programs, and even during the graduate program as well, we actually ask the graduate to come up with action learning project post post attending a certain training, right? To come up with a project that will be impactful for the firm, and how can we help the firm to do better, for example. And these are our little, you know, change agent, and our role in HR really is to just help them to provide the right avenue for them to showcase their case to the management and make it a successful project for the organization. So definitely, yes.
That's good. Now, what is the road for progression for performing employees in MBank? So I think this question is beyond the graduate program. Do you have any insight on this?
Yeah, so from what I'm seeing, that we, again, like I said, we are a fairly open organization. If you think that you want to try out something natural, you know, of course, you will probably have to go through some form of interviews to see whether fundamentally you have the skills to perform the job. If you have, and of course, you will be taken in to try out different roles within the organization. And this is what we want to do in the long term as well, to promote internal mobility, to allow people to experience different jobs so long that they have the skill set to do so. Yeah. And even if you don't have, we have a series of in-house programs that could help you to go there. Yeah.
So, okay, guys, if you have any questions to career progression in MBank, right? Perhaps what you can do is you can chat with the live recruiters at the MBank booth. They would be more equipped to answer your questions, you know, probably give you an idea, you know, how long does it take, you know, for me to get promoted to the next level in your company and things like that. I'm very sure they'd be more than happy to take your questions.
Yeah.
Gloria, the next question is, may I know what is the difference between the MBank graduate program compared to a similar program in another bank?
So I think there was a similar question that was being asked before that, right? So I may just reiterate that. So number one, from the organization perspective, you will get to have a lot of moments with the senior leadership engagement. So I would say that would be sort of the differentiating factors. You will be able to meet some of C-suites and exchange ideas, to share your ideas with them. So I think that is really, I feel, very valuable. And at the peer level, you will also be, you know, tasked mentors, as well as career coach, as well as seniors from other cohorts, the past cohorts, to actually help and guide you through in terms of how you can continuously excel within the organization. And also, of course, like I said, because I will be personally administrating the programs with my team, and I do always put experience first. Because I myself is a management trainee, I will make sure that, you know, I provide those experience that I've longed for when I was, you know, a management trainee myself, you know, many moon years ago. So yeah, so I would say those are the differentiating factors as compared to other FIs.
So Victoria, before I take on the other questions, right, I have a question. Now, you are a person with a rich experience in this industry, the FI industry, right? You've worked with many organizations, right, be it local or international companies. Perhaps maybe what you could share with the young attendees today is what are the kind of skill sets, that they can, bring to any organization, any bank or any financial institution that they join? What is the one thing that you feel is the most important for them to have?
Thanks, Elaine. And I would say agile, right? You may have heard this word used in many platforms, said by many people, but it is so relevant, right? And until today, I just couldn't agree more, right? You just need to be agile and you just need to be flexible, right? To different situation. And that's when I look back in my career, I felt that I have successfully insert those traits and behavior when I dealt with problems, when I was given a task or projects, and it just helped to lead me to where I am today, right? So I would say that agility is really key. As a fresh graduate, you must be receptive to change, and you must be receptive to feedback as well, because I sometimes I felt that learning from my past experience with my peers back then was management training, they come in with a certain attitude, right? You'll feel like, I'm so hot, right? Look at me, I'm the talent, I'm the creme de la creme, right? So I would think that, it's a shame because you need to stay humble. Just when you think that you are clever and you're talented, there's other people that's more talented than you. So you need to continue to stay humble, to stay agile and nimble in the fast-paced organization in order to ensure that, you continue to grow with the organization. And this is one, personal advice that I would like to just reiterate to every single fresh graduate, to just, be agile and nimble, right? Don't be choosy, right? When you're given a task, do it, no matter how small is the task, right? Because sometimes it's not the task that matters, it's the way that you handle the task, right? And that speaks very loudly to people. And when people see it, your chance will come. Right. So yeah, agility, Elaine.
You know what? I totally agree. Agility is definitely something that everyone needs to take in whatever industry they're in, whatever position they're at. Right. Now, another question, I think this is pertaining to the graduate program. I have 1 year experience in HR. Can I still join?
Of course. So like I said, the criteria is CGPA 3.5 and less than 1 working experience if you have stepped into the working world. So long that you meet that criteria, we welcome the application.
Okay, we have a few questions here about whether this program is available to expats. I'm so sorry, guys. Victoria has already shared that this program is unfortunately only open to locals at the moment, but they will look at it, in the future, right? So please don't be disheartened, keep going back to their career page, to see what kind of opportunities are there. Okay.
And spread the news to your peers as well, who is Malaysian.
Yes, of course. Now, the next question is, I am from a sales background, but I am no good in banking and finance, right? Do you think that would actually be a hurdle to this program?
So no, so like I said, that we are not looking for someone with specific backgrounds. So I want to reiterate, I'm a chemical engineering graduate myself, and I'm now a HR practitioner. So we are looking for someone that is dynamic from different backgrounds. It's how you structured things and problem-solving skills that is more important for us, and those are the traits that we are looking for in terms of candidates joining us, right? So it won't be a hurdle. And plus, if you successfully go through the different stages of recruitment process, we do provide a 3-month sort of onboarding program to ensure that you are well equipped before you are being placed on job rotation to experience different parts of the organization. Yeah, so rest assured that we will not let you swim with the shark.
Yeah, I like that, Now, oh, this is a good question. It is very common these days, right, to see candidates jump from one company to another. So how would I motivate myself to stay in a company like mBank? And what are the tips that you can share with young job seekers such as myself?
Yeah, very good questions. You must have a goal. You must have an end goal in mind, what you want to achieve, what do you want to get from the organization, and how can you contribute to the organization, right? You must constantly ask yourself that question. And if you think that with the organization, you have achieved all your goals and the organization has offered all that you have asked for, and you think that it's time to move on, yes, go ahead. But you must always set an end goal of what you want to achieve within the organization, right? What sort of impact that you want to bring to the organization, right? So I always tell my peers or even graduates that comes to me for advice, I say, don't jump for the sake of that, 10%, for example. You must be able to answer that question. Have I made an impact to the organization? Have I achieved the goal that I set for myself that I want to achieve with the organization? And if those questions are yes, then feel free, go forth and, explore, right?
Okay. And, to the best of your knowledge, how many years do you think is a good number of years to stay within a company, to really achieve those goals that, that a candidate would have already set for his or herself?
I think 2 or 3 years is a good time to ask yourself that questions. Or, not necessary to jump out from the organization, but to ask yourself, have you achieve all the goals that you have set for yourself in that particular role? So you may want to explore different roles within the organization, like, mBank, we are such a big organization. Of course, we are not as big as, let's say, CMB or Maybank, but we are fairly big as well, right? There's so many other different jobs that is available within the firm that you can explore. So once you think that you have learned enough and you want to venture into different type of roles, feel free to talk to the HR, or your manager itself. I think that people will be very, very supportive. And these are the behavioral change that we are hoping to impose or to enforce moving forward as well, especially for the young talents, because I always believe that you shouldn't stay in your job, especially when you are at the junior level, not more than 2 or 3 years, because then you get comfortable and then you won't move and then you get married and then you have children. Right? So 2, 3 years, I think it's a good time for you to sort of ask yourself that question and see, which path you want to take in your career within the organization or outside the organization.
Okay. And on the opposite scale, what are the actions taken for non-performing employees in mBank?
So, of course, as an employer, we want people to continue to do well in their job or in their positions, right? And of course, we will continuously, coach people. I wouldn't say non-performing, but probably not meeting expectation. I think those are important rather than penalizing people. So those are the initiatives that we have put in place to ensure that, line of managers continue to coach their employee to actively close the gaps, as well as always talk to HR when you have difficulties in helping you to bridge that gap as well. Yeah. So I think when you are in a situation of non-performing, you need to ask your manager, right? Where are the gaps? How can I actively close it? I think those are the behaviors that I hope that, all of you will illustrate or demonstrate when you think that things are not quite right, right? Talk to your manager about it openly, right? So we practice open communication here in mBank as well. So hopefully you will not be, going through the route of point of no return.
Of course, and guys, I just wanted to share with all of you that it's really important when you're looking to choose a career path, right? You have to choose the right company, because a company that nurtures you and wants to, help you grow, help you identify your gaps, and then you can improve. I mean, that's really an important trait for you to also look in your future employer.
Yeah.
Right? So another question is, okay, this is a similar question that was asked earlier. What is the strength of mBank compared to other banks, right? You've already answered that question. This is a good question, I think. In which location would the candidates be based for this graduate program?
So last year, what happened was because of the pandemic, most of us are working from home. So same goes to graduates as well. But this year onwards, we're slowly calling in the graduates back to office, but on rotation basis as well. So depending on your job rotation of where your business is based. So we have business that is situating in, let's say, Yap Kwan Sing and Raja Chulan and different buildings, right? So depending on the rotation that you are at, you will be placed closely with your business.
So
But
would you also, I'm sorry, you were saying?
But you will be in KL.
Okay, so would you consider candidates from outside of Selangor and Kuala Lumpur for them to, relocate here for the program?
Sorry, come again?
Would you consider candidates from outside of Klang Valley if they are willing to relocate, to KL to be part of this program?
Of course. So I as long as you are a Malaysian, we welcome you, right, to join the program.
Now, as a fresh graduate, may I know, how is the working environment? Is there any work-life balance in mBank, as many banks always need a lot of OT?
That's a good question as well. I would say the work-life balance is good, right? I mean, this is because I'm a strong advocate of work-life balance, because I have a kids myself, and I felt that, for me to continuously grow with the organization and to become a sustainable working arrangement with the organization, it needs to be a balanced one, right? So I've been in roles where I was working late, but you know what, I just get fed up and tired at one point, right? And I just tell myself enough is enough, right? Because you will have that breaking point. So and mBank, I truly believe that we are strong advocate for work-life balance. But of course, sometimes when you are rushing for deadline, you are probably required to work a little bit longer. But of course, it's not a sort of mandatory thing, right? It's up to the individuals. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a similar question, whether or not you would consider candidates outside of Selangor and KL. But another question was, if I'm based outside of Peninsular Malaysia, and if I fit the bill, meaning I meet all the requirements of the graduate program, would mBank assist with the accommodation?
We can show you around, but there won't be any additional allowance for relocation. So yeah, and the thing is, we have put in a comprehensive package for successful candidates that join the program. I would say it's, I think, above market rate. So it's a competitive compensation that we have put in for candidates. So I'm sure that you will be able to find a good accommodation with that kind of payout.
Wonderful. And what is the process involved after I apply for the graduate program? How many rounds of interviews or presentations do I need to go through?
Yeah, so good questions. I've shared in the slide earlier as well. I think a lot of questions, yeah, Elaine, and good as well. That's overwhelming questions, and I'm happy to take all of them. So specifically for that questions, there is 3 stages. So number 1 is phone interviews with HR. So if you made it for that first stage, you will be invited into an assessment center. So like I said, in the assessment center, you will be tasked to do certain activity. You will also be put in groups to work on certain business case. And at the end of the day, you will probably have to do some presentation. Again, it's not to test the technical competency of yours, but rather to see how you break down complex information that was given to you and how you collaborate with other trainee in the process. So those are the traits that we are looking for when you go through the assessment center. So once you have successfully gone through the assessment center, you will then come to the final round of interviews with our senior leaders. So those are also people that is talent within the organization, because we want to ensure that people that we bring in is very much aligned to what we are looking for. And these people will be able to spot those traits, because they are talents themselves, right? So spotting another talent will be an easy task for them. Yeah, so that is a sort of the nutshell in terms of the process that you will, three-stage process that you will go through if you were being selected to the program.
Okay, so let's just take another, 2 or 3 questions and then we can wind down. Now, I think this is a good one. Can you share a success story of a management trainee in M-Bank? Where is that person now in the organization?
Sure, we have quite a bit of success stories. So like I said, upon graduation from the program, we will continue to keep you under the radar, because, we have invested a lot of time to nurture you and to help you to unleash your talent in the 18 months, right? So post-graduation from the program, we will continue to engage you, probably not as intensive as when you are under the programs, but rest assured you will be kept under our radar, and we will continue to monitor and have check-in sessions with you. So specifically, for a success story, I know of a person that is sitting in our group wholesale banking at the moment. I think within a few years into the role, that person has been promoted into a manager, right? And when I checked in with the program sponsor and the manager of his or her manager, they are very, very happy. They say that, these are exactly the traits that they are looking for, and is very, very happy to continue to host graduate trainee into their programs because of these particular person that has done so well for the organization, bringing new ideas, very collaborative with the team. Yeah, so definitely a lot of success stories we have observed from the past cohort.
So Victoria, could you just share maybe a few of the best employee benefits that is available right now at M-Bank, so that, we can attract more people to your booth?
Sure. I mean, among the many, I think now the most interesting now, at least for me, is the flex benefits, right? So it really allows you to play around with the benefits based on your personal needs, so then you can maximize the benefits that you have with us.
Okay. Okay. One last question. Does M-Bank observe diversity and inclusion in your hiring in general, not just for the graduate program?
Of course, yeah. So we welcome any people from any backgrounds to join us, and that is one of our long-term goals as well, to promote diversity and inclusion, which is one of the important agenda for the organization and for the firm. Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much, Victoria, for sharing the details about the M-Bank graduate program. I'm sure it was very useful from all the questions that were pouring in. There's still a lot of, but I'm sure that, it was very, very useful for all our young attendees here today, right? So everyone, if you want to fly high with M-Bank, please log on to our virtual career fair 2021 and explore the abundance of opportunities at the M-Bank booth right now. Today is the last day. Don't miss out, right? Thank you so much, Victoria, for being with me today. I enjoyed, hosting your session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Elaine and Monster. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good Friday, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So moving on, allow me to hand over the next speaker sessions to my colleague Stella Hui. She will be introducing two interesting career coaches, right? So guys, please don't drop off, stay on the line. It's going to be a very interesting, session. I'm logging off for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elaine. It was such a great sharing session by Victoria just now. I logged in a bit earlier and I could hear a lot of questions that has poured in from the participants. So it's really great. And I'm really happy to see that you guys are asking a lot of questions, getting to know more and being excited to want to learn more about the graduate program at AmBank. So like what Elaine has shared, if you have further questions, please log into our Monster Virtual Career Platform. Question any answers you need. They are the friendly recruiters there for you to give them any questions. Okay. Also look out for any of our other employers booth. We have a lot of jobs, vacancies that have been posted on the session on our platform. So if you are a fresh graduate, if you are an experienced professional looking for a change, that's where you want to be. Okay. So I would like to welcome everybody back to the final day, okay, our day 5 of our Monster Virtual Career Fair online session. This is unfortunately our second last session. We have had so many wonderful speakers, and I'm so sad that it's our second last session today, okay? But joining us today, we will have Shravan Shetty. He will be sharing with us on how to leverage on research-focused networking for career success. And I think this will be a very interesting session for each and every one of us, whether you're in the business of sales, whether you're in recruitment, whether you're a working professional or fresh grad. Networking is really, really important, right? So Shravan has been featured on LinkedIn Person of the Year list for 2 consecutive years. He is an expert in educational consulting, career guidance, and he holds almost a decade of experience in working with individuals and groups, enabling them to better their skills for productivity and for growth. Some of the projects he has worked on include those with impact on school culture, higher education, employability skills, work productivity, entrepreneurship, succession planning, and leadership development. So happy to have you on the session with us, Shravan. Welcome to every one of you guys who have just joined us as well. So over to you, Shravan.
Hey, hi, Stella. Thank you for the lovely introduction. I'm really glad to be here today. We say, we have often been told that your network is your net worth. So be it a pandemic, be it recession, be it any kind of a situation where you are migrating to a different country, it's very, very crucial for you to network and build your network consciously. And I would like to say that I would like to, at this point of time, quote Jordan Ching, who's a well-known product designer, strategist, and startup advisor. He says, surround yourself with remarkable human beings. They will be the anchor that grounds you and the wings that will lift you to the stars in terms of whether you are somebody pursuing a career in an organization, whether you are somebody who's an entrepreneur scaling your business. So it's really crucial that we first begin with who you are, right? So right now, it doesn't matter whether you're a fresher who's straight out of college or you're somebody who's got 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of work experience. It's important for us to not look at networking for the sake of networking, especially in an age where you have LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, a lot of social media platforms where you're constantly connecting with people, right? So from that perspective, I would like to say that let's begin with who you are and what do you seek right now from your network, right? So I would like to begin as a career coach to talk to you about GROW, the GROW framework, which Sir John Whitmore was an executive coach, talked about shaping one's own career. So the question is, what's your goal right now? What is the goal that you have? Do you want to be like an engineer? Do you want to be a specialist in a particular area of knowledge? Do you want to build your skill deeper in marketing or wider in marketing? What are the options which are in front of you? And what is the way forward that you're looking at, right? So the GROW model demonstrates that when you are actually looking at shaping your career path, it's important for you to identify what is the pathway for your career first, right? And when you look at your career, when you start networking, automatically you will find that, a lot of key aspects begin to fall in place. So there might be people who will tell you that, hey, it seems like from the way you're talking, you don't have a network. So let me assure you, all of us have networks. Our network could be coming from our network of school friends, it could be college friends, it could be a hobby or a sport that you pursue that you are spending time on. Now these people are not just the hobby that they are interested in, right? They work in organization, they work in institutions. So which is why I always tell audiences that I speak to that every human interaction is a networking opportunity, and every virtual human interaction when it comes to this virtual career fair is also a networking opportunity. So let's actually go further to understand and identify that when you're within an organization, also you are building a network each day because of the work that you do and the way you're interacting with the people whom you work with. When you show that you care for what they know and you also care for who they are as a person, they start investing trust into you. And trust is one of the fundamentals of quality based networking that I would like to emphasize on. With this, let me speak to you about what Dr. Ivan Misner, who is the founder of the Business Networking International Group, constantly has iterated when he built this BNI chapters across the world. Definitely look up BNI. I'm not a member of BNI, but I have definitely, understood some of the core principles of BNI and how networking grows. So Dr. Ivan says that the only thing more important than the size of your network, absolutely, definitely, affirmatively, is the quality of your network, right? So when I started out after my bachelor's in business management, and I started looking at building my network on LinkedIn. I would add everybody and anybody whom I could find, right, who would be willing to connect with me, until a mentor told me that you need to be looking at it from your career perspective. Where do you want to go now? And when I started looking at my career post my MBA to get into the training and development field, into corporate training, I started by looking at people who are in the HR fraternity, who are the decision makers when it comes to giving training projects and assignments, right? Identify who's the key decision maker who can make an impact, right, for you in terms of scaling your career and building your network. So which also brings us to the fact that how do we define a network? What should we be building a network on, right? So I say ask, right? We all know attitude, skill, knowledge is the key way to succeed in life. But have you thought about your network which you're currently in, and how is it that this network is helping you develop your attitude, helping you, build your skill block on block? Are you looking at what is the knowledge that a particular network can help you with? So if you are keen on building yourself as a UX UI designer, it's not just important to do a course, it's also important to know who's working in which organization in UX UI, and how is each organization looking at UX UI for their clients, from a different vantage point. So you could be working in the IT sector, or you could be an artist, right, who works on art installations. You could also be an archaeologist. But it's important for you to build a tribe of not just people who are very similar to you, similar age, similar experience, similar education background. It's also to add diversity. But considering that technology has opened up the options, you have a problem of plenty right now. So you need to still anchor, how are you going to do this networking now, right? So I would like to begin with focusing on skills, for example. When we look at McKinsey, one of the leading consulting companies in the world, they very famously talked about how the future of work would, emerge. And they spoke about how there are I-shaped people, there are T-shaped people, right? And who are I-shaped people? I-shaped people are people who join an organization with a certain skill for, let's say, programming, coding, or might be somebody who's interested in market research. But if you're going to just deepen your skills only in one pillar or one particular area, let's say you're a qualitative researcher and you focus only on focus group discussions, then the value to the organization that you're working with is finite. So in the beginning of a career, it's okay for us to be a specialist, right? Even later on in a career, when we are specializing in something which is in high demand, it's great for you to be a specialist in that. But it's also important if you are looking to really build your career, right, in depth and wide, it's important for you to be a T-shaped person, which means, for example, when we talk about a vertical line or a functional disciplinary skill, examples could be like Microsoft CRM expert. You could be a paid research expert in digital marketing. You could be a mobile analytics expert, specifically, in a vertical area. That's what an I-shaped person would do. But a T-shaped person would be somebody who's a social media manager who understands how digital marketing works in terms of not just the tools like Google AdWords, but also understands how do you build a community online, right? How do you market content, for example? How do you weave all these three components to be a ace digital marketing manager where companies are fighting, to hire you and take you on board, right? But now we are at a point in life with technology automation setting in that people are looking, as you grow up the ladder, to be a M-shaped person or a multi-skill person, which means that you have like skill sets which are similar and divergent as well, which could be, for example, you're a product designer with coding experience, or you could be somebody with big data analytics background with a specialization in electronics, or you could be a musician with animation skills, right? So that you can take your music online and also, bring in animation to engage more with your audience, right? So these are all examples of how we are building our skill sets. Now you need to ask yourself at this stage in your career, whether you are an entrepreneur or you are somebody looking to get a job or who are already at the middle stage in your career, where are you going to build your network? Do you need to build a I-shaped network in specific areas where you need to be on call with somebody who can be a go-to person for a certain skill set or a knowledge area that you're working on? Or it could be that you're a salesperson who used to work, for example, if you're in executive recruitment and you're working on projects with clients, for example, where if you're headhunting and you're headhunting for the position of a CEO, vice president, the engagement time for you to bring in candidates is longer, and that's understood as part of the business. But what if you decide to take a leadership position in a recruitment firm where the focus is on hiring college graduates in huge numbers, right? So in that case, how are you going to switch to a different mindset? You need to change your attitude. You need to, look at how do you go from executive recruitment to entry-level recruitment, which primarily brings to the fore that you need an attitude, skill, knowledge, readjustment or recalibration, as we could probably say, right? So, which brings us to the point that why are we talking about all these skill sets? Let's look at it purely from an employer's perspective, right? An employer or an organization takes efforts to develop your knowledge and skill sets on one side, which comes from the left-hand side of your brain. But organization success also depends on your attitude and habits, right? So if you are somebody who is great at working with people within the organization, then they know that you can move your ideas and people also very well along with you. But a lot of times your reputation internal to the organization is also built by the contacts, how you can open up revenue, for your organization with a client base, or if it's a current project that you're managing, how do you deepen the relationship and, bring in more revenue from the client side, right? So I'm just giving you different perspectives. There's one networking which you do as a consultant so that you can have a pipeline of work. There's the other bit of networking that you do to strengthen and consolidate your position within the organization that you're working with, which means that today, as the organization moves to different target markets and segments, you got to add on more skills. And sometimes the best people to ask, how should you go about acquiring a skill, is to ask experts whom you can, who could already be a part of your network or whom you could reach out to, right? So if you're somebody who's just starting out on your career and you've been attending the Monster Virtual Career Fair, my question to you is, as you listen to each expert speak, how much of that content made sense to you, and how many of you thought of trying to identify that person, on LinkedIn, reaching out to the person, right? Elaine was in the previous session. How many of you would have thought of reaching out to Elaine, right, and add her to your network? How many of you would be considering reaching out to Stella, who's just hosting this segment, and connecting to her and building your network? So there are opportunities for you to build your network every now and then. So it's important for us to maximize our mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, to look at opportunities for networking, but look at it from your career plan, from your career growth perspective, and not just generally from a social media influencer perspective, to put it on LinkedIn and say, hey, I have 1 lakh followers, I have 1 lakh connections. The question is, what are these 1 lakh connections doing for you? How can they help you shape your career, further, right? So that's a really crucial point for you to, look at. The the current thought in networking is that you should find quality connections. This means that you should find people who are directly related to what you are trying to achieve. Now, how do you define quality, right? Will depend on where you are and in what position you are. So if you're in a sales function or sales role, and the organization believes that you should be meeting 10 new people every day, you cannot always, focus on quality. But what you can do is you can look at what is the profiling of the customer that your organization is looking for and try and be sharp on that. But it's important for you to also look at your customers also as your network, because your customers can give you a very good set of referrals of newer customers. Any customer who's happy with you brings in 10 more customers, right? So it's important for you to look at all your stakeholders based on the role or function that you're working in terms of how you build your network. If you're a techie working in an organization, the quality of your network will not just be the people whom you're working with, whom you have to work with, but it would also be to get a second, third perspective on how there could be certain components of technology that your current organization is working on for a client, but probably will work on, let's say, a year from now, right? So when you attend association forum, talks, for example, let's say you go to forums where there is like a TED Talk series, right, on experts related to your field, it would be good for you to attend them, reach out to them, have a conversation with them and see how what you know, how relevant it is, right? There is no point in us believing that we know it all and we are the very best at what we do. So today, as I've been working as a career coach for close to more than a decade, I constantly reach out to peers and people who are senior to me, people who are younger to me as well, because there are certain aspects of attitude, skill, knowledge that I believe that I can imbibe from them. And I've got to know a lot of industry certifications and programs as well, where I can develop myself through this network, which I call as my tribe, right? So as you grow older in life, you will find that people will tell you that if you look to lead an organization, that you should build a personal board of directors. When you're younger, people will tell you who's your A team now, right? Who's the one who's egging you on to help you be more successful in your career, right? So at the outset, as we, I'm very conscious of the, the time that I'm looking at, and I'm looking at in the 20 minutes that has been given to me before we get into the Q&A, I want to leave you with a tool, right? A tool which helps you, focus on building your network for yourself. And also, from a viewpoint of whether the network that you're building is you're adding a person to your network, or you're becoming a member of Rotary, for example, as a community, or you join an industry association, right? How do you actually, validate that? How do you actually, have something which is a very relatable tool, very simple to look at, very simple to execute, so that it's top of your mind as you look at building a network based on which part of your life you are, where you are in your career. So a few of us could be, focused on building a really quality network. A few of us might want to build a quantity network with a lot of people, because you are in such a role which requires you to do so. But I would stress that if you're at the beginning of your career, please do focus on building a quality network, right? And for that, I want you to pay attention to the word listen. Yes, the word listen, right? Listening skills are very, very important. So I always tell people, listen to your network, right? But when I say, there is a twist to it. So the word listen itself is something which I use, with different inferences. And from a networking perspective, I would like to say that when you are building your network, you should first look for people who would make a difference to your life, right? So when you are looking to add somebody to your network, the first thing you should do, the first step you should take is learn about the individual, learn about that industry association, learn about that organization or forum, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's a LinkedIn group, whether it's a group that you would go to monthly, to interact with if you're part of a media association in Malaysia or wherever you are right now, right? Identify and see what is that group been doing, how have they been adding value to each other, right? It'll give you an understanding of whether this is a group, when you look at their daily, weekly schedule, annual schedule, if this is something that you want to be a part of, right? Because apart from a 40-hour work week, you're going to be spending significant time being a part of these forums or associations, right? And if you're adding somebody to your network, if you're not going to reach out and connect to the person, What is your agenda for adding that person on LinkedIn? Why did you accept that person's invite, right? Was it just to, just widen your network from a 6 degrees of separation so that you would have more members in your, in your LinkedIn network? It's great if that's what you want it to be. But if you are looking to specifically have a career focused plan of, reaching a certain milestone, you got to see, how can this person, this individual, this association add, a certain approach, attitude, mindset to the way you're functioning? How can this individual or organization help you shape your skills, right? Better, help you, definitely build up your knowledge, right? Are you reaching out to that person because you looked at the fact that this person has done a certification that you're interested in, and before you invest in your, invest your money into it, hard-earned savings into it, you would want to know how effective it was for that person, right? So it's important for you to learn about the individual and association. I, which is the second step, is you need to interact with them virtually or physically if possible. To interact with them, collect, share information, see how you're both benefiting from this relationship. It's important from time to time to structure what you can contribute, what you can receive from a person. You should not look at your network as a use and throw only from your agenda, what you need. BNI has a very core fundamental concept in building networks where they say that givers gain. So givers gain means is when you contribute to community, when you contribute to society, when you contribute to the field that you are in, automatically you get back a lot, right? It might not always be monetary, but by sharing your knowledge, by sharing your skill, by telling people how to shape their attitude, you will always benefit by improving yourself as well as your network. And your network can see that you're not just looking at taking from them, you're also giving them, right? So keep looking at structuring what you can contribute and how you can help people in your network. Test whether what you're giving them is what they need or not, right? When we do charity, we shouldn't be disposing of what we don't need. We should be giving people what they need. So it's very important for you to constantly test if what you're contributing is something that is making sense to the network that you're contributing to, or to the individual whom you're contributing to. It could be a colleague, it could be a group outside your office hours, it could be an association within the organization where for the CSR activities, the corporate social responsibility projects, where they're working with NGOs, you're contributing your time. But you need to be contributing your time in a manner which your CSR team or your HR team or the NGO feels that it's worth their time and it's valuable for them, right? It's really very, very important when we look at this tool, Listen. We've spoken about how you need to learn about the individual organization. We've talked about how you need to interact, collect, build the relationship, share information, see how you can contribute to each other. We've talked about structuring what you can contribute. We've talked about testing whether they need what you're giving them and whether you are benefiting from what they're giving you, right? So if you feel after a point of time that this network isn't serving your larger purpose in life or contributing to your career, it's not adding value, it's probably best for you to, leave the network, right? You keep working with a network or a group of people till you can contribute or they are contributing to your growth. So E, right? The last two steps of Listen, right? E is empathize, right? People don't care, about you, how much you know, until they know that you care. So it's important for us to be patient with people as we expect people to be patient with us, right? So empathy is the cornerstone of building network, right? People want to build network with warm, genuine human beings. People don't want to build network with calculating machines, right? So that's the whole point, empathize. The last step in the word Listen, which is going to be your go-to networking tool for reference, is network with individuals and people whom you know you're making a difference, but it's important for you to constantly see how much time you want to spend with this network versus a new network versus an old network. So just to give you an idea, so you might be very, very active in a community or in a network, in a tech network at the beginning of your career, right? But as time passes, you can see that you're getting a lot of validation from people in this network. They look to you for your technical expertise. But you might reach a milestone in your life where you're building your leadership skills, and that needs more time, which means that you have to let go of something that you love, which is giving you a lot of validation, but probably that's not what you need to do to shape your career, right? So it's important that you network with purpose, network with great intention, keeping your career pathway, your career roadmap, which will change. So I'm not saying right now at the Monster Virtual Career Fair, you might be in your mid-20s, late 20s, and you might decide that this is your career plan, for the next year ahead. But every year, please do review your career plan and see if the networks that you're building are adding value holistically to your life, to every part of your life, not just your career, work-life balance, sports, interests, hobbies. Networking is a full circle wheel, right? It is something which is really crucial, which can determine, it's like a lift, right? When you enter a network, it can either take you down or take you up, right? So figure this for yourself in terms of how do you want to shape your network, build your network to leverage your career success. And that can happen by constantly doing the research on yourself and on your network and ensuring that there's a fine balance, right? So keep that in mind. I wish you all the best to leverage building your network by constantly researching what you need, what your network needs for career success.
Thank you so much, Shravan, for sharing with us the importance of focus, research focus, networking. We have we have probably about 10 minutes for a couple of questions. So let me take the first question. I usually add all the requests that I get on LinkedIn, but I never connect with them. I think this is more towards never interact with them, right? How can I initiate a conversation with these, strangers that I've just connected with?
So I think that's a great question. So the first thing you should definitely do is look at the profile of the person, see if the profile is filled out, because there are also a lot of fake profiles. There are scamsters on LinkedIn as well. See if the profile is of interest to you in terms of you're benefiting from it, or you feel that you can contribute. So I would say, Stella, if, for example, if the person is a HR manager and sees that there is a young person connecting, maybe the person is seeking mentorship. So it would be good for the person to have at least one level of interaction, drop a message to the person and say, hi, I can see that you're looking to add me to your network. What is your intention? Is there something that you're looking to, you're looking out for, advice, or do you have an opportunity for me, right? So it would be good to have a first level of interaction before you decide to add or not add somebody to your network.
Great. I think one good tip also, if you take on, if you were sending a lot of connection requests to people you don't know, once they accept your invitation to connect, I think it's also nice to actually drop a note to say something like, hey, thank you so much for connecting with me. Would love to be in touch with you. Let's keep connected. Take care. Bye-bye. Those kind of things. Very simple 1-2 liners just to start or kick off the conversation. Is that right, Shravan?
Absolutely, Stella. I think that's a great tip that you have shared, because nowadays with LinkedIn having automated messages, people just say, thank you for adding me to your network. So to personalize the message will make the person feel that you're a warm human being on the other side. That's a great tip, Stella.
Okay. So apart from LinkedIn, where else would you suggest for me to build up my network?
So I would suggest you to look into your own, the sector where you're seeking jobs for. I would suggest that you look into, the specific focus area where you want to build your skills into, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it is, there are formal associations in every sector. There are associations for people interested in electronic engineering. There's a media association which people can join. There is Society of Human Resources and Management if people are looking to, get into the HR field. So identify the trade associations or the specific skill area that you want to, build your skill set on, and you can get it. Definitely, Stella, if people have very specific questions based on their profile, I would be happy if they could, reach out to you and share what they're doing. And based on their profile, I can recommend, what are the non-social media groups that they could join or associations they could join for networking. Because it's a really broad question. There are 106, 150 different sectors. So all of them have various, probabilities. There are a lot of offline forums which an individual can join to, further their career.
Okay, sure. Another question we have here. What will be your tip, right, for a fresh graduate or a young professional? What will be the first few steps that the person can do on LinkedIn?
So the first step would be to not believe that anything that you've done is not significant. I find that there are a lot of freshers who would have, participated in co-curricular activities, social community work, or extracurricular activities, believing that it's not relevant on LinkedIn. It's important for you to look back at everything that you've done during your college life and see where you can detail them out on LinkedIn. The second is that when you reach out to people and you are looking out for a job, I would suggest that you go through their profile and ask them for career advice on either specific areas or general areas by going through their profile, to ensure that you're not just sending people your profile on LinkedIn asking them to give you a job. So that's what I would recommend. Do your research on the person whom you're connecting to, put up your profile, constantly upskill yourself, definitely, and look at what people who are a year older to you have done before you. So that will also give you an idea on how you can build your skills and where your education or your background can take you in terms of multiple pathways.
Thank you, Shravan, for that. Okay, we have question for one more. We have time for one last question. So one of our attendees said, currently in this difficult economy, most fresh graduates are only concerned with just looking for a job. This is particularly true for law and business graduates. In this case, is there any alternative approach to building a specific network? For example, maybe building a quality but diverse network of people from multiple industries? Or is it always best to find one specific line of work to focus on networking there?
I think this is a phenomenal question, because this also leads us to what's the effort that we want to put in terms of what we are looking. I would recommend, Stella, a combination of both approaches, primarily because today we are at a point where, because of technology automating a lot of roles, freshers sometimes, when they're looking out for job profiles, unlike earlier, if you were a business graduate, you would just look at marketing, HRM, and you would, for example, look at finance. But today, for a business graduate, there are multiple opportunities and pathways. So one is to see what are the transferable skills that you built and where that could be applicable, across a diverse set of industries. So it's important for a person to have conversations. So to do that, what I would recommend is for people to create self-initiated projects where, for example, if you're really curious about a field which is different from yours, build a set of questions and start reaching out to people, asking them questions out of curiosity about the nature of the work and what's happening there. So that will, definitely help you get a better understanding of what that new areas are all about. And you can build a diverse network, because when you reach out to people and say that you're doing this research and you want to know more about, a lot of people would be curious to know why you're doing, right? So if you can be honest with them and say, I'm curious to know where my interests and skills can take me apart from the conventional pathways, right? The other alternative definitely would be to go deeper, to talk to multiple people across industries who have the same profile as yours. So if you're a law graduate, you could, just look at all the different roles that somebody with a law background is utilizing, right? So just to give an example, after completing your education in law, you can go into you can go into practice, fighting criminal cases. You can go into business law in terms of intellectual property rights and areas like that. You can also work with NGOs and build your base in terms of conflict resolution, conflict management, and help with community negotiation, peacemaking dialogues. So there are various pathways that one can take in terms of a singular background in business or law. But it's important, Stella, to be curious about what is the path that people before us have taken, and not just look at the conventional pathways, but also unconventional pathways that people might have taken, right? So I would recommend approach which includes both these pathways.
Thank you, Shravan. I think one very important tip that I can take from your sharing just now would be self-initiative. Yeah, while you want to learn from other people, from your connection, your network, there's also the need for each and every one of us to learn things on our own, not just be spoon-fed, right? So it's really important, while you want to learn about a new industry, a new skill, while you learn from other industry experts, you also go out there and pick up the skill yourself. There's
Stella,
a lot of free. Yep, sorry.
No, Stella, just one more point. It just struck me. I just want to give an example.
Sure.
So I had this situation where I had a client who returned from doing her business master's her business management from USA. And this was a few years ago, and she was really passionate about getting into visual merchandising and retail. But of course, she had no experience, right? So when she came to me, we came up with a self-initiated project where she went to different retail stores and talked to them and identified how they were setting up their visual merchandise in these stores, right? In malls, shopping malls, and individual superstores across brands, right? And then when she went in for an interview and they said, you have no prior experience, how can we hire you? As we had planned, she opened a PowerPoint presentation and showed them, different retail stores where she had done her research. She had talked to them, identified vendors who source for Christmas and other functions, where they source their visual merchandise, mannequins, and other props for promotions. And needless to say that they were really impressed by the fact that she had done a self-initiated project rather than just going from one job to another. Just to revalidate what you were saying, Stella.
Yeah, thank you so much for the sharing. Really very important for each of us to put in that discipline and the self-initiative to pick up new skills, right? So thank you very much, Shravan, for sharing with us the importance of research-based networking. Okay, so thank you very much once again, every one of you, for joining us. I hope Shravan have shared with you very useful and interesting tips that each and every one of you can use. Okay, so thank you once again, Shravan. We will see you again. So
absolutely,
right
Stella.
now,
happy networking for
care.
everyone. Happy networking, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
So, and now for our last speaker today, and to close up our last day of Monster Virtual Career Fair online session, I would like to introduce all of you to our last speaker, Harsh Johari. Harsh is an executive and leadership coach and works with senior leaders in organizations to help them be successful in both their personal and professional lives. He also offers leadership training solutions for managers across industries such as finance, shipping, consulting, and technology. He is a certified ICF ACC coach, certified intelligent leadership IL coach, trained directly by John Mattoon, world's leading executive coach, former coach of Steve Jobs, and also a certified happiness coach, helping organizations adopt a culture of happiness and engagement. Prior to this, Harsh has also worked at Goldman Sachs as a senior VP for operations for 9 years. Welcome to the session, Harsh. We are so happy to see you here with us today. Over to you, Harsh.
Thank you so much for having me in today's session, and thanks for that warm introduction. And I'm so happy to see people are still on for this session. So I'm going to talk about how to be successful in your career. And as Stella mentioned, I've had a fairly diverse career. I've been a captain on a ship, so spent about 18 years in the shipping industry. Then I made a diverse switch into the corporate banking sector. I've been into investment banking for 9 years. And now I work as a leadership and career coach. So whatever I'm going to speak today is coming from a lot of my own experiences, what has worked in my career, what has not worked, and also my experience as a career coach, where I deal with professionals and like all of you in helping them succeed in their career. And how can you become successful in the long run? Now, the first point when you think about career success is just to understand the difference between job and career. Sometimes we use the terms interchangeably, but they have different meanings. When you think about a job, you're always thinking of a very short-term focus in hand, immediate job which you want to do. But career means having a long-term view of your career journey. And this is where a lot of us make the mistake. We typically hop from one job to another. We never take a step back. We never pause to say, where are we heading? Where do we want to go? What sort of career aligns with what I really want to do in the long term? And so that's the first distinction all of you should understand, that job and career are not the same. Well, yes, obviously there are times when we need a job, we need financial security, but at the same time, there is a need for all of us to have a very conscious view of what a long-term career should look like. So that's the first distinction I wanted to make when you think about success in your career. The second thing is, when you're looking at a long-term view of career, most of us don't have any career plan. Like I personally never had a career plan. How will I progress in my career? My career for a large part just kept on happening, and that's where again most of us miss the boat, right? We don't consciously plan our career, saying, let me take a step back, let me understand where do I see myself over the course of next 5 to 10 years? What are my strengths? What do I really like to do? What am I passionate about? And I can I really plan it in a way so that I achieve most of my career goals, right? Now, obviously, not everything you plan will happen accordingly, but at least giving the time and thought to plan becomes important for your long-term career success. And most of us don't do that. We just jump from jobs to jobs, really, right? But I invite all of you to, whether you are fresh into a job, whether you're a professional, I invite you to take some time out occasionally to really reflect on how far have you come in your career journey and where do you want to go. And because if you do that reflection, if you really give it some thought, then you can actually start taking some actions or decisions which can align to that direction. The third thing in terms of career success is really owning and taking charge of your career. And again, most of the professionals make a mistake when they join an organization. They always assume that my manager is responsible for my career growth. And they just said, let me just put my head down, do my work, and hopefully my career promotion and growth will happen. And that is the responsibility of my manager. Now that is true to some extent, but I think career progression has an element of joint ownership. You also own your career, your manager also owns your career. So how do you really step up and take charge becomes really important for your successful career in the long run. It's not good enough to say, look, my manager is responsible, so I don't have to focus. And sometimes when things are not going well for us, that's an easier way for us. We simply say it is because of my manager. There may be some truth to that, but a lot of us are not ready to take ownership of a career and take charge of a career. I personally, I didn't know what really to do in my career for a large part when I took up my first corporate job. And only when I really understood the importance of taking ownership and accountability of a career, that is where I started having very active discussions with my manager and my stakeholders, and then started thinking about preparing career plan and taking action. So my third advice to all of you is that wherever you are today in your career, does not matter, own your career, take charge of your career. Don't assume that that is your manager's responsibility. The fourth point I would say is for a very successful career, make sure you have a mentor. Now, mentor can play a huge role, can influence your career progression. Again, for most of us, what happens is we join a job, and there could be places where we struggle. We don't know what is next for us, and we don't have anybody to go to, and we try to figure out things on our own. And most of the time, that does not work. Now, in a lot of companies, they have formal setup. They have formal mentors available. And if you're working in a company who has mentorship programs, I strongly recommend that you sign up for a mentorship program, sign and have a mentor who can guide you in this entire journey. You could also have a mentor outside your company or even outside your industry for that matter. So it does not really matter, as long as you have somebody who can provide some sort of guidance and direction in your career growth journey. Don't try to figure out things on your own, because a lot of times we just don't know what to do, and that's a fact. Especially if you're a fresher, having a mentor can really help. Even if you are a mid-career senior professional, a mentor will always be able to help you. That's one thing. You could also have a career coach. Like I do a lot of career coaching, and I see a lot of people have mentors and coaches both. So having a career coach who can actively help you in planning your career and accelerating career can also be useful. I had a mentor when I was in my corporate jobs, and I actually had my own coach, and now I coach people. So whether it's a mentor or coach or both, it does not really matter, as long as you have somebody who can help and advise you and in your career journey. So that's the fourth thing I would say. The fifth point in terms of career success, what is important is knowing what are you really good at, knowing your strengths. Again, a lot of us don't know what we are good at. We don't know our strengths. And I'm not just talking about the appraisal process in a company. Generally, what are you really good at? Because if you don't know your strengths, you don't know how to leverage them in your job properly, and you will not know how to find jobs aligned with your strength. So knowing your strengths is really important to say, what are you really good at? What people admire in you? What can you do effortlessly? So if you know them, then you can leverage them in your current job, or you can leverage them in your future job, or you can find roles which leverage those strengths, right? For example, like you may be very good in numbers. And now if you're very good in numbers and you're doing a work which does not involve some sort of numbers, then you may not feel very motivated, or you may feel that I'm missing out on something. But if you're very good in number crunching and you're very good in quantitative skills, and you are in a role which helps you leverage those skills, then you'll feel a lot more involved and motivated in the job. So knowing your strengths, seeing how you can leverage them in your current job or future jobs, or finding job which can leverage those strengths becomes a very important part in terms of long-term career success. Same thing, knowing what are your interests, what are you passionate about. And it does not mean that everything may be relevant to your job, but how can you bring some part of that interest or passion in your job? For example, a lot of you may be very good, you may be interested in, let's say, teaching. Now, a typical corporate job may not involve teaching as a process, but you can certainly train a lot of your colleagues, you can train a lot of employees as a volunteer effort, right? You may be very passionate about giving back to the society. Now, that may not be a proper job offer in the corporate world, but you could actually work with the CSR department in your organization, saying, I want to contribute and create a bigger impact outside of firm. How can I do that? So knowing what you're interested in and seeing how you can bring some part of it, if not all, into your work can be very helpful in terms of motivating you and also in terms of your long-term success. The next point, the sixth point I'll say, is be very open to experimenting. And this is really important because a lot of us don't want to take risk. We are very afraid to take risks. We just want to do what we know. We don't want to get into different fields. We don't want to try out anything new. And in that case, we limit ourselves in terms of our potential. And we want to feel comfortable. We want to feel secure and safe. And hence, we don't really push ourselves. Like when I moved from shipping industry to banking, I didn't have any knowledge of banking at all. And shipping and banking are not necessarily related, but I was willing to take that risk. I was very open to learning new things, and I was very keen to prove myself out there. So experimenting, trying out new roles, different functions, doing things which you've never done before can be a great way to build your overall profile in a long period of time, because you never know where you will end up with. You never know what you really may feel passionate about over a period of time. So I would strongly recommend take some risks in your long-term career. Be very open to experimenting and trying out new things. The seventh point is be very open to learning new things, not just expanding, but learning. Continuous learning is a bedrock of a strong, successful career. But there's a difference. The distinction I want to make is a lot of people want to learn, and they want to learn because everybody is doing it. They get pressured with what is happening in social media. People are doing training and courses, and they are posting certificates on social media. So I should also do that. I'm not telling you to do that. All I'm saying is be very open to learning, but learning with relevance. What learning or what training can help me in my current role, or what training can help me in my future role, which I aspire to take up. That's very important. Most of us, end up doing endless courses and training programs and all without knowing how it will help us. And we keep on adding a lot of certifications into our resume, but it is not good enough, right? It doesn't help us land a better job opportunity sometimes, and it doesn't really help us grow. But if you just limit your learning to what might be useful to your current job or future job, then you have a greater chance to create an impact. So learning with relevance is very important, not simply because everybody is doing it. And the final point I'll say is, look, don't compare yourself with others. This is again a trap you fall into, and that can sometimes pull you down in terms of your career success. Be very, very thoughtful of the fact that your journey, your career journey is very unique. Each of us have our own career journeys and very unique. There will be people who are always doing better than you. There will be people who are not doing as good as you are doing in a career. But comparing yourself with others will not help you. Yes, sometimes people compare because you feel motivated, you want to reach at a particular position, that's okay. But generally, because your journey is so unique, don't compare yourself, because that will sometimes pull you down and demotivate you, bring your morale down. Let your journey be your own unique journey of discovery in terms of your career and how you progress. So those are the 8 points. I'll quickly repeat. Make sure you have a clear distinction between job and career. Make sure you spend time consciously, intentionally on planning your career, irrespective of where you are in your career journey. It does not really matter. And taking charge of your career, right? Owning your career, saying, I am responsible for my own career, not my manager. Trying to find a mentor either within your organization or outside the organization. If you want, find a career coach who can help you. but there are times when you don't want to fight your battles alone. So a mentor or coach can really help you. Knowing your strengths, knowing what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, seeing how that can be aligned to what you're doing currently or into the future can be really powerful and impactful. Being very open to experimenting, taking risk occasionally to try out new things in your career could really boost up your profile and also provide you some really enriching experiences. And like from shipping to banking, now I'm a coach, and these three things are very, very different. They don't have any interconnection. But I was very open to experimenting and trying out new things, and that allows you the space to expand. That opens up a lot of possibilities in your life. Learn with a lot of relevance. Be a continuous learner, but also learning with relevance. And the other thing about learning is also don't just get in a mode of learning things, but not taking any action. So if you read a book or attend a course or watch a video, see what can you take away from that and take an action. Otherwise, you will keep on consuming information, but nothing will change as far as your career is concerned. So whenever you attend a course or read a book or attend a training program, think about what actions can I take based on the learnings from that program. And then finally, don't compare yourself with others. Let your journey be your unique journey. Believe in yourself, be persistent, never give up. And I don't see a reason why you will not succeed. Right, so those are my points. These are again something which I have done, something which have worked, something which have not worked ideally, but these all 8 points can create specific action items for yourself as you go along and plan your career. That's all from my side. I'll hand it over back to Stella and see if there are any questions which I can help address.
Thank you so much, Harsh, for your sharing. Okay, we have a couple of questions here. Harsh, the first question is, I think this is really important. In fact, for myself also, I'll probably wonder the same thing. How do we identify or find a mentor?
Okay, so as I said, in some companies, there are already mentorship programs, and you can actually sign up and company would have a process where they can match up, right? You couldn't actually, ideally your mentor should be somebody who's not in direct line of your sort of work or manager. So you can actually find somebody who's outside your function in your organization. Somebody who has more experience than you can actually go outside in your company. You can actually check in your network, right? And for all, you'll be surprised that you know people who can mentor you, but you have never reached out, right? So you can, and so I'll strongly advise finding somebody who has no view of your direct line of sight of work, who is not involved in your work anyway. So he or she can provide you unbiased opinion and views, really, right? There are a lot of online platforms today where you can actually go and enroll, and they have a lot of mentors on their panel, and they can match you with a mentor. So whether you can use organizational resources, you can use external resources, a lot of platforms. I'm part of a lot of mentor platforms. I don't do so much of mentoring, but I know that there are a lot of platforms where you can just go and sign up and you'll be assigned a mentor. Check in your network. You will be surprised that when I say network means it could be your friends, their parents, their relatives. There could be somebody who could be ready to mentor you. It's just that you have never actually gone and asked for it, right? Now, mentorship also is a strong commitment. It's not just for the sake of it. When you sign up for anybody who's a mentor, make sure you commit to that, right? Because you are using someone's time. He or she is investing their time and effort in helping you in your career. So you should be fully committed to that. But don't go, it's not a very scientific process. Don't think that I have to find a perfect mentor. Find a mentor to start off. And as you go along, you'll meet so many interesting people. Sometimes I've seen in cases where you left a job and your previous manager becomes your mentor. So let that process evolve. Don't be too trying to find a scientific way to find a perfect mentor for you. Start off finding somebody. Yeah.
Okay, Harsh, what are some of the, just now you mentioned that there are some of these mentorship programs online. Could you just briefly just share like maybe the top 3 that comes to your mind? What are some of these platforms that you can think about that can help our attendees?
I know one platform is called Intercell, intercell.com. You can sign up there. What I'll do, I'll pull up some names and maybe I can share with you later, and you can share with the audience. Sure. But I know there are n number of platforms today who are providing these mentorship opportunities. Yeah.
Okay. Another question from our attendee: how exactly can I take charge of my career?
Just stand up and say, look, my career is my responsibility. While my manager is responsible, I'm going to take charge of my career. So first thing I'm going to do is, if there is something which is not working for my career, I'm not going to blame anybody for that. I am responsible for whatever is happening on my career. Next thing is, I'm going to have a discussion with my manager saying, look, this is where I'm in my career. this is where I want to go, or this is my short or medium term path. What are your inputs? What are your feedback? So your manager will give you some thought. Then create an action plan out of that, saying, look, these are the skills I need to develop. These are the experiences I need to gain. And then start working on it. But making sure you remain accountable for it. When I say take charge means stop pushing it out to other people, stop giving responsibility to others, saying, look, I am responsible. Whatever happens or does not happen is my ownership and accountability. And from there you go. Right? So it's more a mindset change, saying I am responsible for everything which is happening in my career and will remain responsible. It's very easy to blame everybody else or environment or economy or managers, but because you don't want to take ownership, and that's a mindset shift you need.
So I think that I can equate that, shorten that whole thing to taking charge, meaning being accountable and taking action. Being accountable but not taking action does not lead us anywhere either. So being accountable as well as taking actions, making actions, planning, making actions, that's more important to how we want to chart our success in our career.
Yeah, and accountability is a great word you use, because when things go well, we are ready to take accountability. When things don't go well, we want to push accountability on others.
Yeah, that's like the standard standard process.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question is, I get that some strengths are obvious, but how do I really analyze myself and know what is it that I really can do or I excel in?
So there are two ways to go about it. There are a lot of strength finding tests you can do, a lot of psychometric tests out there. There are hundreds of tests online you can find out, where you can go and take assessments and it will tell you what are your strengths. That's one way to do it. The second way is to just take feedback. Go and talk to your colleagues, to your workers, to your family, to your friends, saying, what do you think I'm good at? What do you think I do well? Right, and people will tell you feedback. Look at some of the recent experiences you've had. Look at some of the projects you've run and saying, what did you do well? Why were you selected for that project? Look at areas where people come to you for advice. When people reach out to you, what do they reach out for? Like, for example, you may be very good in, let's say, financial planning, and you may see your friends and family and colleagues come to you always for financial advice. So that's an indicator that your one of the strengths is financial advisory or financial planning. Now you may not think it that way, but you may see a lot of people are coming to me for advice, which means I must be good at it, right? So you can take a lot of strength finding tests, take feedback, just be open to colleagues saying, look, I'm trying to find out what am I good at, and can you tell me what do you observe, what do you like about me, or what do you think are my key strengths? Take some feedback, dipstick, and be open, and they will give you the real data, right? So now obviously there are times when some strengths are underutilized and under leveraged. So some things, so you may not know and people may also not know. So there is a possibility around that. But for a large part, if you use this process, most of the time you'll gather enough information to tell you what you're good at.
When we go out and gather too, I think it's also very important that we keep an open mind to receive what others may be telling us. Some things we hear may not be very pleasant. Right? For example, someone may feel that, oh, I'm actually very good at doing this, delegating work and all those. But for others, when the feedback comes back, they may tell you that you're actually snobbish, you're bossy, which may be negative words, but be open to it and receive all this feedback. And then I think it's important to evaluate ourselves, what we hear, take it with a pinch of salt and see whether the feedback that we get actually fits the list that we have of what we think that we are good at. Right? Yeah,
and sometimes you'll be surprised. People will give feedback which you never thought that this is my strength, but people have seen it for that. So you could have a lot of surprises when people tell you what, because you may think whatever you think about yourself, but people may perceive you very differently.
That's right. So next question here: as a manager, although I am not professionally trained, what are the basics I can adopt to act as a mentor to my subordinates?
Key thing is having a real good intention. That's the only thing. So saying my intent is to help grow this person. You see, if you think about it, people management, ultimately it's a human connection, right? Whether you're mentoring somebody or you're managing people in a team, ultimately it's a very human connection. And the way to approach, irrespective of whether you have people skills or not, does not really matter, is that, look, I have a very genuine intent to help this person grow. What can I do? That's the great thing, right? If I'm not the right person, can I connect him or her to somebody who can help in this specific area? Like when I coach people, sometimes there are areas where I'm not the expert in that area. So I help my clients connect with other coaches saying, look, maybe for this area, you should go and talk to this person, right? That's one thing. Be very authentic and open to them. Look, share from your experiences, because the best way to learn is from our own experiences, right? So that's another thing. And seek advice. Even think about reverse mentoring. What can you learn from the other person? So when you mentor somebody, in a way, you can also be open to reverse mentoring, where you are also learning from their experiences. I know in a lot of organizations, a lot of senior leaders are now having reverse mentoring from younger employees, because they are saying we want to learn how to work with millennials, how to work with the younger generation. So they do a lot of reverse mentoring. So don't worry whether you're a manager or not, or whether you have people skills or not. Think that this is a very human connection you're trying to make. You're trying to build trust, and you're genuinely interested in helping the person grow.
Very interesting point there, Harsh, because every connection that we have, every interaction that we have with anybody, it's always two-way communication. We can always learn something from the other person that we're speaking to. We can always teach something to somebody that we're speaking to. I think that's really important. Thank you so much for answering that. So another question we have here. I have 2 years of experience and I got a good growth in my company in 2 years, right? But my seniors, they really like my work, but I wasn't able to connect much with other colleagues. It's impacting my work now. How can you suggest something for me?
Start connecting. If you really know that this is coming in your way, and so far what you've done is focus on your work and you've done well, now is the time to build the network in the company, right? You have the answer, right? You're saying I did not connect. Start connecting. Find out who are my key stakeholders. Find out who are the peer groups in my company. Go and start having those conversations. That's really so. Again, while you prepare a plan for it, again, it's a question of genuinely building that network and relationship with people. Just start doing that. Does not matter whether you've done or not. You can start from today. Just go and start. Pick up 5 people you would like to talk to next week, and just start the conversation. That's really it.
Good. Another question here. What if I do not have a manager? I am self-employed. How can I be successful in I think this is more towards my own business, since this person is self-employed.
Let me see. There are, again, one way is to look for a mentor, so that there is a mentor who can advise you. Because when you work I'm also an entrepreneur, for example. I also work. I have a team, but I also work individually. When you're working in isolation, you don't have the luxury to collect feedback, because you can actually go and talk. If you have a team, you can talk to a team. If you have vendors, you can take their feedback. If you have suppliers, you can take their feedback. If you have clients, you can take their feedback for your personal growth. You can actually talk to your family members, saying, because a lot of feedback, you can talk to your friends. You have a whole ecosystem around you which can still give you feedback about what you need to do. Now, there is an aspect of how do you grow my business. Now, that is a very different thing, where you have to actually have some mentors who have worked in, let's say, in that area of business or in startups, who can advise you how to grow your business. So that's a very different thing of how to grow my business, how to become an entrepreneur. But generally for personal development, I think whether you are working in an organization outside, you have enough people with whom you interact on a regular basis who can tell you, what you need to work on and what is going well.
Okay, thank you. Hope that answers your question. Now, the next one. Sometimes even if I put all my best efforts in work, I still do not get the required output, as the work depends not only on what I am doing, but also depends on performance of the team members. I feel that it impacts my overall performance too. How can I overcome that?
Bring your team along with you, right? If you feel that I am doing really well, but some other members are not doing well, and because of that overall project or initiative getting impacted, bring them along. Go and talk to them, saying, how can I help you? To see how you can make a more inclusive environment, right? See, everybody will always say this, I'm putting my best effort. Who will say that I'm not putting my best effort? Nobody will say. Everybody says I'm working very hard. So that's not the point. Sometimes we also confuse hard work and productivity. They are not the same. You can be working very hard and still not produce anything at all. So sometimes it could happen. You may feel that I'm putting a lot of effort, but the output may be zero. So first thing is, go back and think, is your effort in the right direction, on the right things? That's first thing, because you could be having full day, you could be busy, and at the end of the day, you might have not achieved anything at all. So busyness and hard work does not equate to productivity and output. So first thing I would say is, go back, before you think about others, go back and reflect at your own self, saying, am I putting the right effort in the right places, in the right direction? So because that could be the biggest reason why you are not getting the output. Second thing, if you still feel that I'm doing everything which I'm supposed to do and others are not doing enough, then see how you can bring them along in that journey, right?
Great take there. I really like the part where, check again whether we are putting our efforts, our time in the right direction. Because really a lot of time you see people working hard, spending so much time at work, but the output is really not there. That's really, I think, a sign that shows us or tells us that the effort that we put in or the time we invested in is probably not in the right place. So it's again back to self-reflection.
Yeah, and the general response will be, I am working hard, others are not working hard. That will be a typical response. And if everybody starts feeling that way, then the work doesn't get completed, right? Yeah.
Okay. So for the last question for today, okay. So this question comes from one of our attendees that sounds, I work in a startup. There is no one to guide me on work. How can I learn in a startup, or should I consider moving to a bigger company?
No, I think startup is a great environment to learn, because the whole culture is so fluid and dynamic, and you learn because everybody is doing almost everything. Especially if you are in very early stage of a startup, you're doing operations, you're doing management, you're doing finance, you're doing HR. So for a large part, I think startup provides you a great opportunity to learn a lot. The question is, are you open to learning all that or not? As I said, experimenting is very key. So sometimes the startup, remember, startup is also discovering itself. As a startup founder, owner, even not everybody knows where the company is headed for. So they are also in the discovery phase. So I think it's a great place to build your career as long as you are ready to experiment and work hard. Yes, there may be times where you have to stretch, and there may be times you have to pick up things which you have not done. Be open to that, right? Be open to that, and because you never know where you will end up being, right? So startup is a great place to work, but not for everybody. It's a tough environment. It's an intense environment to work. Not everyone will bite that bullet, but if you like that work, be open to experimenting. Go with the flow, I would suggest.
I think key here is the versatility, agility, basically just to adapt. The ability each one of us has to adapt.
Yeah, think about the startup founder is also adapting, because they only had an idea. They didn't know how to do a business. They are also adapting every day. That's how the startup grew, and that's how you have to think about it. So have the same mindset as the founder had.
Okay, thank you so much, Harsh, for answering and taking up all the questions that we have. There are actually a couple more questions, but in view of the time, we won't take them anymore. However, if you have further questions that you want to ask Harsh, please feel free to connect with him on LinkedIn. Throw him any questions. You may even find yourself a new mentor there. Okay, So thank you very much, Harsh, for spending your time, your precious afternoon with us. So thank you. Take care. We see you again soon.
Thank you so much for inviting, and have a great day, great weekend. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for sitting through with us. This is our final session, right? This is the end of our career guidance series. And I hope that we were able to help all of the candidates or attendees who have participated in our Monster Malaysia Virtual Career Fair 2021, give you some tips, some ideas on how you can advance in your career. Okay. For those of you who have not participated in the fair, you still have a few hours left to register and explore the abundance of job opportunities left with our top employers. So hurry and do it now. So the virtual platform is still live. You can still go on to the system, to the platform, look at all the job vacancies that we have, speak to our recruiters. If they're offline, you can leave them offline messages and they will respond to you probably next week after the weekend break. Okay, thank you so much for being a fun and engaging audience. I hope to see all of you again soon. Thank you so much once again for joining Monster Malaysia Virtual Career Fair 2021. I'm Stella, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.